My name is Leela, and I'm delighted to spend this time with you. Do you feel the sound is okay? So far, so good for her. The essence of finding ground in life is intimately related to the practice of presence, of being here, and to deepen a sense of here-ness, a here-ness in one's location. I'm at the edge of the Baltic Sea, the archipelago just outside Stockholm, and it's a wet and dark night heading towards the deep dark in the north. Wherever you're located, this is your time to be. So I'd like to invite you to take a seat of dignified presence, a little bit more upright, to sit with some dignity, to show up for yourself, for your life. We're going to do just short of 30 minutes of meditation practice. And then after that, we'll have a little stretch. I'll speak a little bit. And then we have time to share and explore questions together, anything you're curious about. And then we conclude the evening or begin the day, depending on your time location. Taking a seat of presence a little bit more upright to support wakefulness. Let your eyes gently close. And take some fuller, slower, and deeper breaths. Taking all the time in the world for one breath. Letting the in-breath fill and expand into your body. On the out-breath, relaxing, softening, inviting a relaxation of any tension, any contraction, anything that's too fixed and held. Invite it to soften and release. Softening heart and mind. For now, this evening, rather than holding a focus or concentration, let yourself fill with presence. Notice your contours, the way you're sitting. Your breath may reach the front of the body. breathing into the front of the body, to the utmost layer of skin. And the breath may expand backwards towards the back of the body, between the shoulder blades, the small of the back and the neck. The breath may expand to the sides and upwards and downwards. Let your head, the verbal energy of the mind, rest a little. A downward orientation, perhaps a downward melting. Taking some breaths with your heart, or letting the heart breathe. And if you wish, perhaps take some breaths in a downward direction, letting the force of gravity support you. Noticing how from the firmness of ground, letting yourself notice ground. Whatever is going on in your life, in life, invite yourself to settle and deepen a connection with the ground. Breathing with the ground. or perhaps letting the ground breathe you for a little while, simply breathing and being mm, until the bell rings. So, welcome to some stretching, bringing some care to the body for a minute or two. If at all possible, I'd like to invite you to turn on your video. I'm aware that there might be one or two of you with a poor internet connection. You turning on your video so I can see you helps me to get a sense of what to speak about. And when we have our videos on, although we may be feeling that we're not quite presentable or our home is messy, can't be helped. It's a friendly gesture to get a sense of this gathering of human beings. And that we're here gathering in quite a mysterious way from different continents, even. Thank you. Time of meditation, the briefest time of embodied presence can shine the light on how much of our life we live in abstractions, in stories. Alfred North Whitehead says we think in generalities, but we live in the details. The only way for awareness, the practice of presence, to deepen is to notice the particular. Practice, a spiritual journey, is always lived in the details, the nuances of life, the very beginning of in breath, the way we care for our home, the way we speak and relate, the way we walk across the earth, the way we attend. Well, we live in abstractions, in the stories, in the running commentaries, in the constant feed of information that is shallow and lack depth and ground. There is an increasing disconnect, and this we know. We become top heavy, head centered beings. And yet, we're beings of the earth. One example of how we live in abstractions, in the stories, in the realm of make believe, is the way the time axis is so very important for the mind. How we weave this story of first, I'll work on my issues. Then I'll study the seven enlightenment factors. If you're practicing in the Buddhist tradition or something else. And then always something ahead later. Or we may lament, why haven't I gotten over my sorrows, my disappointment yet? Why can't I get over it? Why am I late? The running, ongoing time scarcity. I don't have time. I need more time. Time is running out. In day-to-day life, in everyday life, parceled out time, the stories about time is giving the constructed sense of self stability and security. The way we try to keep ourselves together and functioning and on top of things. But what is interesting is that the more we're present, the more we nurture and value a sense of simple here-ness. And here-ness happens when we dare to be simple, when we dare to attend to just this, just here, just now. Not only sitting in meditation in the Buddhist tradition, it's about life. The practice of presence is at the heart. At the end of the day, there is a life to be lived, to relate, to engage, to participate, to deepen a sense of care and belonging, to have a feeling that we've truly lived, that we had our time on the earth. And interestingly enough, the more we're present, the more we'll experience time slowing down. Time will become experientially more available to us. This is the experience of anyone on retreat. Sometimes pleasurable, Sometimes not so much. Will the bell ever ring if you sit in meditation? But more often than not, we do enjoy a sense of time becoming malleable and stretching, widening. There is enough time. What if you would feel truly there is enough time? There's enough time to be and to do what needs to be done. As we deepen a sense of presence by valuing a sense of here-ness, embodying awareness, and caring for the particulars in our lives, not living so general, but personally. A deepening sense of presence opens a non conceptual sense of time. It's quite a remarkable freedom. So there is the sun that rises and sets, the seasons come and go, lifetimes come and go. But can we nurture a sense of being that is not so time bound? Timelessness is experientially available to the human heart. In fact, emptiness at times, a key exploration in the Buddhist path, can at times be experienced as no time. Perhaps each one of us, in our own personal ways, have had times, moments, mornings, late afternoons of timelessness. This morning, walking across the granite rocks where I live, the rocks made smooth by the last ice age, and feeling a sense of connection with these ancient rocks, traversed by many beings, this beginning of time, a sense of putting my life trajectory in perspective. It's quite good for the human heart to widen the perspective. We get so preoccupied with what is current and we lose the sense of ground. And when we do, we're less able to respond with wisdom, with kindness, with power, with strength, with dignity. We ground well in nature, in contact with the natural, because we're natural beings. We ground well in sharing and connecting in a true way with others. Thus, this gathering. We ground well, we quiet down, and we don't do much, and we turn our attention to awareness itself, simply being present in our bodies and our hearts, opening to our experience. We also ground well by caring for all dimensions of life, and most of us have some area that straggles behind, isn't as put into order and place and rest. When we bring heartfelt care to our life, we bring kindness to our life, a sense of completion and closure. I was listening the other day to an interview with a man who had the idea, he was a carpenter, to make his own coffin, and he did. And he told his children, and then they got inspired and they also made their coffins. I don't know if they stored them in their wardrobes or in the backyards or somewhere else. But this act of caring for the whole life trajectory so that there may be peace and a fullness of living while living is happening. To open to a sense of ground always involves the heart. Takes a lot of heart to live, to turn to the heart with presence also brings up exactly everything not yet digested and metabolized, and that is challenging for us. In this tradition, the practice of awareness is something like a welcome. Welcome to experience. Welcome to all of our experience. Welcome to the particular. And we're invited to awaken an awareness that does not contract so easily in contact with experience. We may not like what's happening, but can we be present? Can we receive? Can we let life impact us? Mary Oliver says, I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as it was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do it, and I'm, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight fading, or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get dementia, lockjaw, rheumatism? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing, and I gave it up. And I took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. It is quite something that a human heart knows how to open, knows how to open to all our worries, knows how to open to our sorrows and fears, knows how to open to the joy and the sweetness of life and the timelessness. As we start to drop down from being top heavy and we truly begin to experience ourselves in a more aligned way, head, heart, belly, earth. It's actually relaxing. The Buddha described how the worldly winds keep blowing. pleasure and pain, pleasure and suffering. We gain, we lose, we gain, we decline. There is praise, there is blame, there is fame and disrepute. And these winds of the world keep blowing through social media, through the political life, our personal life, and it's not so personal. The worldly winds keep blowing. What in us can remain open? Can we awaken an awareness that does not contract in contact with the worldly winds that keep on blowing? Sometimes it goes well, sometimes not so much. We love, we lose what we love. Calvin Thrilling, food critic, he says, my mother served us nothing but leftovers. The original meal has never been found. It's the story of each life. Each one of us, the latest offshoot of generations upon generations of beings doing their best. Such a complexity. In some ways, perhaps impossible to sort it all out. But within body, heart, and mind, there can be a very simple clarity. What plants quietly breathe out, we breathe in. The breath of ancestors' presence, the breath of dinosaurs. We begin on an in-breath, we end on an out-breath. This much is certain. The more we can settle in heart and embodied presence, there is a process of clarification that happens that is kind, that is grounding and settling. Wendell Berry says, I go among trees and sit still. All my stirrings become quiet around me, like circles on water. My tasks lie in their places, where I left them, asleep like cattle. Then what I'm afraid of comes. I live for a while in its sight. Then what I fear in it leaves it. And the fear of it leaves me. It sings, and I hear its song. The human heart knows how to be with the whole range of human experience, of earthly experience. The human heart lost my. It, I was, I think now you can hear me, yes? Hooray. Let me just take a moment to find my thread. The human heart, in its deepest nature, knows how to break, knows how to breathe with beginnings and endings, all of human experience. But it takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of heart presence. And this is why we practice, so that we can show up and respond to life, but not at the expense of ourselves. Practice is meant to be human and kind, to deepen our sensitivity and kindness to all beings, including ourselves. Like the wisdom from Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog says, I need a day between each day to recover from the day before and prepare for the day to come. Wouldn't sign up for that. We do need time to be, to digest. When we become more heart present, we can begin to digest all life experience accumulated in a dharmic sense. So we start to find ground in the heart. And this actually liberates the mind, which is really interesting. The more we deepen our presence in the heart, the mind is freed to function well and appropriately. Most things in a human life are quite unknown. We don't know what's ahead. We don't know the end result of elections. We don't know how it will all go. There's a lot of not knowing. Part of practice is to appreciate not knowing, not to see it as a problem, something to get over. It's like, I have to know. I have to get to the next thing, to the knowing, but to trust in the unknowability and show up for this moment of life. A few lines from Pema Chodron. To be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continuously thrown out of the nest. To live fully is to be always in no man's land, no woman's land, no person's land. To experience each moment as completely new and fresh. To live is to be willing to die over and over again. And Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche puts it even a bit more intensely. It says, picture you're up in the air in a plane and you jump out or you fall out. The bad news is that you're falling through the air, nothing to hold on to, no parachute. But the good news is there is no ground. This too, the human heart knows that not knowing deepens a sense of ground, but also opens the understanding in the heart of the groundless ground. The heart knows that in this there is no paradox, nothing to cling to, but there is a palpable sense of ground. And in its most simple way, we can turn our attention to the earth beneath our feet. That's there, and that's always been there. Thank you for listening. I'd like to invite you to say hello, do a little weather report from your location. Any question you may have, it may not be answered, but any question you may have, anything you wish to reflect upon, anything that's touching your heart this evening or not. And if you could be so kind and raise your hand, we'll do speaking live together primarily. And if we run out of that, we'll turn to the questions in the chat. So even if you're feeling a little bit shy and awkward, or if you feel that you don't have much to say or you can't quite articulate it, don't worry about it and just give it a try. I very much enjoy speaking and connecting. Okay, Emma,
Hi, Leela.
one
Um,
moment. On here. Yes.
yeah, I'm sorry I don't have my webcam on today. I'm autistic and I sometimes struggle with having my webcam on because of eye contact, etc.
Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you. And I also want to start by just saying thank you so much for what you've spoken about in terms of grounding and in terms of getting over things this evening. I used to really look up to people who got over things very quickly or showed fewer emotions in situations. And I used to think that I had to be like that and I was unhealthy if I didn't. And from your talk this evening, I've kind of come up with a bit of an expression that I might use, which is the more we express, the less we repress in terms of emotions. And yeah, just a really big thank you. And I'm going to take this forward into my life from this very present moment onwards. So thank you.
Emma, this is a really nice mantra that you found for yourself. I don't think actually we need to get over anything. Over time, in its own time, some things may become more transparent and fade from consciousness. That happens when it happens, but it's not really up to us to decide for how long something is activated in us. We can support a sense of integration and settling by showing up for ourselves with kindness and giving ourselves all the time in the world.
So true. Thank you.
Thank you. It's lovely to connect with you. Larry.
Greetings. Greetings, George. Good to see you. Greetings, Leela. As I put in the chat, I always love when the leader is generous and feels secure enough to just give some silent time during the meditation. So thank you. Um, the things that especially touched me, my weather. I didn't know if you meant it literally or personally, but personally, my weather report is your thoughts about time and especially the heart knows. That really took me to a place of trying to embrace as I sat there everything. Everything. I'm a USAer. I have been literally sobbing several times this week. I do insight dialogue and I did some what I would call mindful meditation trauma work during my practice. So my question is, um, I've always found, but especially lately, when I sit, there's times when if I let myself go where my body just starts going into sort of shakes and tremors. And I, re- I did some reading about Peter Levine's vagal work. So how do, but yet the instructions usually for mindfulness are to sort of, if I understand it, restrain a little bit and more notice it. How would you, if you understand what I'm talking about and I'm being clear, how do I bring the two together?
Another teacher may have a different take on this. But if the body trembles or shakes itself out or shakes itself loose or has a need of micro movements in order to support not fixating and holding and contracting, that's fine. And presence and awareness can include that. It's just what bodies do. What happens when I suggest that in you?
Um, fear, fear and resistance, and also I'm starting to notice like that I should try to wrap this up so that I'm taking too much time. Just starting to feel very kind of like a little icy cold and tense, but it's okay. And I will definitely, I've already downloaded your last onto my iPhone, your last talk. So I will be downloading this one and trying to connect with you. So I will, I will take what you said and let other people have some time.
Yeah. Thank you for your care and being so uh, immediate and clear with your ongoing weather report to actually be live with that. And it's really fine. Sometimes we take a bit more time, sometimes not so much. It'll find its way. So, touched my heart to hear your weather report. move forward.
I'm gonna start crying again. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's an honor to get to sit with you. And
Enjoyed
thank you.
you.
And thank you again, George.
So if you don't quite know or it doesn't quite work for you to raise the hand using the menu bar, you could also unmute yourself and just start speaking and I'll find you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Tom.
Hello. Um, Maybe I'm feeling something quite similar to Larry. I mean, how do you deal with emotions that are very intense in the moment that can take over your body and your presence of mind? Feelings like jealousy and anger.
hmm I mean, with strong emotions, we do need a lot of body. And you know this, right? But it's helpful to move, to go for a walk, to speak and share with somebody, to get a reality check, but also because we're relational beings. So it helps us and grounds us when we can share what's in our heart. So the practice of presence is, if we speak about sitting meditation, uh, can be challenging if we're really taken by anger and jealousy, and sometimes we are when there's strong hot emotion. And on retreat and with the right kind of support, we can actually skillfully show up without shutting down and without acting out. So the possibility in practice is actually to increase our capacity so we can breathe with intense emotions without acting out or doing stupid things, or shutting down and closing up and compartmentalizing. That is the possibility in practice. But it's not helpful to practice in such a way where we sit and kind of hold fixation and we try to sort of sit on top of strong emotions. Then it's helpful to move, to relate, to speak, to be very human and down to earth about it. Does that make sense to you?
It
Yeah.
does. Thank you
Good.
very much.
Yeah. And that too is practice. So practice is the whole range of human activities, not only sitting meditation. It's very important to keep in mind in troubled times, and we all have troubled times. It's a good question you bring up. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Hello. There's a little bit of a bad light in the room, but yeah, hope you can somehow see me.
Hi, Maria.
Hey. Hi, Leela. I think that in this moment, I would really like to thank you for this evening and the teachings and give a physical weather report, which maybe is also kind of mental. But yeah, I'm sending greetings from Stockholm. And where I am, and yeah, it's very dark now, even here in the city. And today I have been biking a lot, and it has been very misty. So kind of like everything is kind of gray, but also very soft. Like getting some kind of a gentle spray on my face all the time. And with the gentleness also, there's been a lot of like change of temperature, either cold and wet or getting warmth from the movement. Yeah, it's been that kind of weather here.
Okay. With this gentle spraying of water and grayness impacting you from the inside, your inner being.
In a way, I think it was calming me down, because there was also moments that I, so to say, wanted to throw in the towel of one reason or another at the moment. So there, I don't know, it was like a soft container for all of it. I don't really have the words to describe it much better right now. But
You just did. The weather was a soft container, or whatever was moving in you and through you. It's beautiful.
lately, I have been dealing a lot with letting go and, yeah, metaphorically dying. So it was also very comforting to hear that the heart eventually knows.
Yeah. Yeah. And grief and sorrow, each one a precious gateway. And we don't get to choose which door opens for us. So sometimes it's the doorway of grief and loss. That's our door.
And I have one question, if it's okay to ask.
Sure.
Is it possible that one somehow lets go of like, wrong things?
What kind of wrong things?
Like anything like a person or a location, or like can it be that one lets go of wrong things?
Yes. No. The heart knows how to let it go completely. In fact, the heart loves to empty out. We do cling, and sometimes we cling to the wrong things, and it can be so hard to open that fist and that grab. So letting go is something that happens. And the more we're aware and present at the edges of that contraction, of that grabbing hold, we just keep coming back in contact. It just to find its way in its own time. But there may be a period where we're acutely and increasingly aware of the contraction. That's not so nice.
No.
Will find its way. I'm glad to know we're almost neighbors.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see there are questions in the chat, and I would love to be able to respond to all. I think it's possible to reach out to me through Sangha Live if indeed there is a question that lingers after tonight. Sometimes they just find their way. It's good to articulate them, and then answers has a way of working themselves into one's being. But if it's helpful to have a little bit of contact, you're welcome to reach out. And I'll do my best. So before we end, I'd like for each one of us in the last 2 minutes we have, without making much of a change, I'd like to invite you to turn your attention to your heart. Whether you close your eyes or not, doesn't matter. Let your awareness and contactfulness, the feeling awareness, touch the heart. So we've been sharing some weather report. And I'd like to invite all of us to wish each other well, to wish yourself well, personally. May I live with ease and well-being. May I know peace and ground. May I live with joy and freedom. May I have good friends on the path. May I know love and a sense of belonging. Let yourself wish for what you truly wish for. And without any effort, let this wishing ripple outwards to all of us gathered here tonight and far and wide, touching all beings.